Welcome to the Liberty and Democracy Podcast. Are you a passionate believer in liberty and democracy? Are you concerned about the growing infiltration of Marxist and socialist ideology in our politics, media, and culture? This podcast was created by a citizen of the United States who was born and raised in Romania, a socialist country in Eastern Europe during the 1970s and 1980s. As more and more members of our youth pivot towards Marxism, socialism, and communism in the United States of America and beyond, now, more than ever, it is important to focus on liberty and democracy instead of the alluring Marxist and socialist trends which, as history repeatedly has shown, lead to repressive authoritarian regimes. Marxism does not lead to utopia either in the United States of America or anywhere else in the world. Let us question governments, policies, and manufactured social progressivism. Let us go back to the times when it was okay for us to agree to disagree.
We're now about to listen to Maestro Cercia's ebook titled, It's Not Their Money, A Case Against Big Government. Chapter 2, The Failure of Socialist and Communist Economies. Weak economic growth. Implications of weak economic growth for global stability and development. The consequences of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries extend beyond their borders. Economic stagnation can lead to increased poverty, migration, and political instability, with far-reaching implications for global stability and development. As economic opportunities dwindle, individuals may be driven to seek better prospects in other countries, causing refugee crises and straining resources in neighboring nations. Moreover, imbalances in economic power can create dependencies and tensions in the international arena. It is therefore in the interest of the global community to address the root causes of weak economic growth and strive for balanced and inclusive growth across nations. Highlighting the human cost of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries. Behind the statistics and economic indicators lies the true human cost of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries. The erosion of individual freedoms, denied opportunities, and limited access to basic needs are just a fraction of the price paid by citizens living in these systems. The promise of equality and social justice becomes a mere illusion, as the dreams of a better future are quelled by the harsh reality of stagnation and scarcity. The stories of individuals living under these systems serve as a reminder of the importance of economic freedom and the value of pursuing a model for society that fosters growth and individual fulfillment. Critiques of government policies in socialist and communist countries that perpetuate weak economic growth. To understand the factors that perpetuate weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries, it is necessary to scrutinize the government policies at play. Price controls, often employed in a misguided attempt to ensure affordability, distort market forces and discourage investment and productivity. Limited private property rights disincentivize individuals from investing in their own businesses and homes, further hampering growth. Similarly, strict restrictions on foreign investment limit the influx of capital, expertise, and technologies that could invigorate stagnant economies. By examining these policies critically, we can pinpoint their detrimental effects and advocate for alternative approaches that prioritize economic freedom and incentives. Reflecting on potential solutions to combat weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries. While the accompanying pages have illuminated the bleak reality of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries, it is essential to conclude this segment with a glimpse of hope. It is imperative that we explore potential solutions or reforms that could help stimulate economic growth and alleviate the challenges faced by these countries. Embracing elements of economic freedom, such as liberalizing markets, fostering competition, and rewarding innovation, could invigorate stagnant economies and open up new opportunities for citizens. Furthermore, lifting restrictions on entrepreneurship, private property, and foreign investment could unleash the dormant potential within these societies. It is only through such comprehensive reforms that we can pave the way to economic prosperity and human flourishing. Paint a vivid picture of the economic disparity between capitalist and socialist/communist countries. To truly grasp the economic disparity between capitalist and socialist/communist countries, one need only compare the living conditions and opportunities provided to their citizens. In capitalist countries, the wheels of progress are set in motion by the intricate dance of supply and demand, accompanied by the harmonious interplay of competition and innovation. The streets pulse with the energy of enterprise and aspiration, while the air is rich with the fragrance of possibility. Citizens have access to a diverse range of goods and services, education, healthcare, and opportunities for personal growth. On the other hand, in socialist and communist countries, the dull hum of scarcity and stagnation reverberates through communities. Poverty grips the masses, and hope is but a distant memory. Basic necessities are scarce, and opportunities for advancement are limited. The disparity in economic prosperity between these two systems is stark, with one leading the way into a future of abundance and the other mired in a cycle of deprivation. Addressing counterarguments against the notion of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries. Critics of the notion of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries often try to undermine the evidence by pointing to isolated success stories or attempting to shift blame onto external factors. They argue that the failures of these systems are due to factors such as imperialism, sanctions, or external interference. While it is true that external factors can impact economic performances, it is important to recognize that the systemic flaws inherent within socialist and communist systems are the primary drivers of weak economic growth. Central planning, lack of individual incentives, limited market competition, and corruption are intrinsic features of these systems that fundamentally inhibit growth. By acknowledging these realities, we can engage in a meaningful conversation about potential alternatives and ensure the pursuit of economic prosperity for all. Exploring the long-term consequences of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries. The long-term consequences of weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries are far-reaching and multifaceted. Over time, investment opportunities become limited, deterring both domestic and foreign investors from participating in the economy. The lack of economic progress also leads to brain drain, as talented individuals seek better prospects elsewhere, depriving their home countries of vital human capital. Furthermore, limited technological advancements hinder the nation's ability to adapt and compete in a rapidly changing global landscape. The erosion of economic power can also have geopolitical implications, as countries caught in the cycle of weak growth become vulnerable to political instability and external threats. The long-term consequences of economic stagnation are not confined within national borders but reverberate across generations, stifling potential and hindering progress. Analyzing the role of international economic sanctions in exacerbating weak economic growth. While the primary factors contributing to weak economic growth in socialist and communist countries lie within their own systems, the role of international economic sanctions cannot be ignored. Imposed by external powers, these sanctions serve as an additional hindrance to economic progress, often exacerbating the challenges faced by these countries. By restricting access to global markets, finance, and technology, sanctions can further isolate nations and intensify economic hardships. However, it is crucial to recognize that these sanctions are typically a response to the actions and policies of these countries, rather than the primary cause of their economic woes. Addressing systemic flaws and embracing market-oriented reforms would enable these nations to overcome the impact of sanctions and stimulate growth from within. Drawing parallels between weak economic growth and social unrest in socialist and communist countries. The link between weak economic growth and social unrest in socialist and communist countries is undeniable. As economic conditions deteriorate, frustration and discontent percolate within societies, simmering until they reach boiling point. Citizens, denied the opportunities and prosperity promised by these systems, often take to the streets in protest, demanding change and recognition of their basic needs. Moreover, a stagnant economy exacerbates social inequalities, fostering resentment and divisions within society. The repercussions of social unrest are far-reaching, often resulting in political instability, displacement.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Liberty and Democracy Podcast. We hope you found today's content interesting, intriguing, and useful. You are invited to join us again, as our episodes appear every Monday and Thursday.